Okay, Namo Buddhaya, everyone who are joining from Zoom and everyone who are joining from live stream. We start the live session. Uh, we start with 15 minutes meditation, 15 minutes vipassana meditation. Just give me a moment. Okay, so let us start with our 15 minutes meditation. The instructions are also on your screen and I will also guide you as you go ahead. So just make yourself comfortable. Keep your spine straight. Close your eyes, or you can keep your eyes half closed. And now gently bring your awareness to your abdomen. As your abdomen rises and falls, just note it as rising, falling. As your abdomen rises, note it as rising. As your abdomen falls, note it as falling. Do not change the process of the breathing, the pattern of the breathing. Just keep noting the movement of the abdomen. Rising, falling. Keep noting the rising and falling. Mind gets lost. Bring it back. The rising and falling. Keep noting. Keep your attention on the rise and fall of the abdomen. Rising, falling. Keep noting. And as you find your mind getting concentrated with this noting of the rising and falling, slowly you can just leave it open and be aware of whatever is arising. Just pure awareness. If the mind is not yet concentrated, keep doing the noting of the rising and falling. But if the mind is concentrated, just leave it open and note whatever is arising right now in this present moment. If there is pain, note it as pain, pain. If there is any thought, note it as thought, thought. Noting whatever is arising right now. Keep noting whatever is arising with full equanimity. We don't crave for any pleasurable sensations. We don't run away from any unpleasurable sensations. Simply being a witness of what is arising right now in this moment. Anytime you feel that your mind is getting unconcentrated, a lot of thoughts are flowing, come back to the breathing and note the rising and falling of the belly. Keep noting whatever is arising. Keep noting whatever is arising. Keep noting whatever is arising right now in this moment with full equanimity. Be aware of what is happening right now. Smallest of things. It may be swallowing saliva or any pain in any part of the body. Just note it as pain, pain. Keep noting whatever is arising. And now we come to the end of the meditation. You may wish that whatever meditation merit that you have earned through this meditation, may it go out to all the beings who are suffering in this samsara right now. May they be free of suffering. May they be well. May they be at peace. And when you feel comfortable, you can open your eyes. Okay, so I hope the meditation was good. If there are any queries, any questions, any confusion, please put it in the live chat and I will answer it towards the end. Okay, so now what we will do is uh, I will continue with the book reading. This is the book that we are reading, Old Path, White Clouds by Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. So we'll continue this meeting, this book reading. And okay, I am at, sorry for the, yeah. So I am at chapter 60. We have covered the chapter 59. This is chapter 60. So let us start reading this chapter. Okay. After Ambathalika, the Buddha went to teach in Nalanda and then to Kampa, the large city in the state of Anga. Anga was a populous and fertile region under the jurisdiction of King Bimbisar. There was the Buddha dwelled, there the Buddha dwelled in a cool forest by the Gagara lake where many fragrant lotus flowers grew. People came in great numbers to listen to the Buddha teach. A young wealthy Brahmin named Sonananda also came to meet the Buddha. Sonananda was known and admired in the region for his astute intelligence. Several of his friends discouraged him from paying a visit to the Buddha. They felt a visit by Sonananda would grant too much prestige. So at that time, actually, what was happening is there were too many sects and many religions and other sects. And they felt kind of pressurized because Buddha's knowledge was very deep and uh, it used to penetrate the theories that they held. So they didn't, find it comforting to send their disciples and people to Buddha's teachings. And even in one of the discourses, I also read that someone said that don't go there. He's a magician. He will convert you. Why? Because when the person went there with his theory and Buddha clarified him, he became so bedazzled that he said, "Okay, want to become a part of your sangha." So other sects, other religions that were there at that time, they felt kind of, I will say, threatened, right? Insecure by the Buddha's knowledge. So they didn't used to. They used to say that don't go and meet the monk. They felt a visit by Sonananda would grant too much prestige to the monk Gautama. Sonananda smiled and said that he did not want to pass up an opportunity to meet a man like the Buddha who was known to possess uncommon insight. Such a chance only presented itself once in 1,000 years, he said. I must go to deepen my own knowledge, said Sonananda. I want to see in which areas monk Gautama exceeds me and in which areas I exceed monk Gautama. Several hundred Brahmins decided to join Sonananda. They walked to Gagra Lake, placing their faith in Sonananda. They were sure he would show the teaching of their caste to be superior to that of the Buddha. They knew Sonananda would not bring shame to the Brahmins. When Sonananda stood before the Buddha, who was already surrounded by dense crowds, he faltered for a moment, not knowing how to begin. The Buddha assisted him speaking first. He said, Sonananda, can you tell us what characteristics are essential to be a true Brahmin? If necessary, please cite the Vedas as evidence. Sonananda was pleased. The Vedas were his particular field of speciality. He said, Monk Gautama, an authentic Brahmin, possesses five characteristics: an attractive appearance, skill in chanting and performing rituals, purity of blood that can be traced back to 7 generations. That means basically a person qualified as a Brahmin who, like the 7 generations prior him, father, father's father, mother, mother's mother, 7 generations prior, they were all pure Brahmins. Then only the person was qualified as a Brahmin. So, the purity of blood that can be traced back 7 generations, virtuous action, and wisdom. The Buddha asked, of these five characteristics, which are the most essential? Can one still be a true Brahmin if any of these characteristics are absent? Sonananda reflected and responded that the last two characteristics were the only ones truly indispensable. That means virtual action and wisdom. Physical beauty, skill in chanting and performing rituals, and purity of blood were not absolutely essential. Hearing Sonananda say this disturbed the 500 Brahmins that had accompanied him. They all stood and shook their arms to challenge Sonananda's statements. They felt he had been swayed by the Buddha's questioning and that his responses were an embarrassment to their caste. The Buddha turned to them and said, Honored guests, If you have faith in Sonananda, please be quiet and allow him to continue speaking with me. If you no longer have faith in him, ask him to sit down, and I will speak with any one of you instead. Everyone fell silent. Sonananda looked at the Buddha and said, Monk Gautama, please allow me to address a few words to my friends. Sonananda turned to his fellows and pointed at a young man sitting in the front row of their ranks. He said, Do you see my cousin Angaka here? Angaka is a handsome and elegant youth. His demeanor is refined and noble. Few except monk Gautama can compete with his handsome looks. Angaka is very well versed in the Vedas. He possesses skill in chanting and performing rituals. He can claim purity of blood traced back 7 generations on both sides of his family. No one can deny that he possesses the 3 characteristics. But let us suppose that Angaka was a drunkard who murdered, robbed, raped, and lied. Of what value would his attractive looks, chanting skills, and purity of blood be then? Dear friends, we must admit that a virtuous action and wisdom are the only true characteristics truly essential to be a true Brahmin. This is truth for all, just not just a private truth for monk Gautama. So then he basically said that this is the truth. Virtuous action is the only thing that is relevant. And this is what Buddha said. That Brahmin, nobody is a Brahmin by birth. Nobody is a Shudra or untouchable by birth. It's only by our actions that we become, right? The crowds applauded with approval. When the applause died down, Buddha asked Sonananda, of these 2 characteristics, virtuous action and wisdom, uh, which is one more essential than the other? Sonananda answered, Monk Gautama, virtuous action develops from wisdom, and wisdom increases thanks to virtuous action. They cannot be separated. It's like using one hand to wash the another and using one foot to scratch the other. Virtuous action and wisdom assist and nurture each other. Virtuous action enables wisdom to shine forth. Wisdom enables action to grow even more virtuous. These 2 qualities are the most precious things in life. The Buddha responded, Excellent Sonananda, you speak the truth. Virtuous action and wisdom are the only 2 most precious things in life. Can you tell us more? How can one develop virtuous action and wisdom to the highest degree? Sonananda smiled and joined his palms. He bowed to the Buddha and said, Master, please guide us. We know the principles, but you are the one who has actually attained the truth path. Please tell us how to develop virtuous action and wisdom to the highest degree. The Buddha spoke to them about the path of liberation. He told them about the 3 steps of enlightenment: precepts, concentration, and understanding. Now, this corresponds to the Noble Eightfold Path, which had the 3 elements. The first 3, right action, right speech, right livelihood, is the ethical conduct. Second leg is the mental development, which is right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. And the third leg is wisdom. Wisdom is right understanding and right view. Right? Observing the precepts develop concentration. Concentration leads to understanding. Understanding or wisdom. Understanding enables one to practice the precepts more deeply. The more deeply the precepts are observed, the greater one's concentration grows. The greater one's concentration, the deeper one's understanding. The Buddha also spoke, so it's all interrelated. All the Noble Eightfold, all the paths in the Noble Eightfold Path are interrelated. You follow one and you are strengthening the other. The greatest one's, the greater one's concentration, the deeper one's understanding. The Buddha also spoke about meditating on dependent co-arising in order to break through the false concepts of permanence and a separate self. Meditating on dependent co-arising enables one to cut the bonds of greed, anger, and ignorance in order to attain liberation, peace, and joy. Sonananda listened spellbound. When the Buddha was finished, Sonananda stood up and joined his palms. He said, Master Gautama, please accept my gratitude. You have opened my eyes today. You have led me out of the darkness. Please allow me to take refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. I would also like to invite you and all the bhikkhus to my home tomorrow for a meal offering. The enthusiastic exchange that took place that day between the Buddha and the young Sonananda sent waves throughout all levels of society in the region. A large number of Brahmana intellectuals became disciples of Buddha, including a well-known Brahmin named Ambatha and his teacher Pokharasadi in the village of Lechankala. As more and more young Brahmins became disciples of the Buddha, it became difficult to quell the jealousy and resentment of certain Brahmana leaders and leaders of other religious sects. While they were still staying in Ambathika, Swasti asked Venerable Moglana about the different religious movements of his time, of the times. Moglana summarized the main tenets of each sect for him. First of all, there was the sect of Purana Kasapa. His followers were skeptical about morals and ethics, maintaining that good and evil were only concepts that result from habit and convention. The followers of Makali Gosala were fatalists. They believed that one's lot in life was predetermined and beyond any individual's power. It's like totally destiny. That everything is destined. You can't do anything. Whatever you do, it's all destined. They believed that one's lot in life was predetermined and beyond any individual's power to change. If one attained liberation after 500 or 1,000 years of reincarnation, it was due to one's predetermined fate and not to any special efforts. Ajita Kesakambali taught the doctrine of hedonism. He maintained that humans were comprised of the four elements earth, water, fire, and air. When one died, nothing remained. According to this sect, one should experience as much pleasure as possible while still alive. The sect headed by Pakhuda Kasya took the opposite view. They believed that one's true soul and body would never be destroyed. They claimed that humans were comprised of seven elements earth, water, fire, air, suffering, happiness, and life energy. Birth and death were merely outward forms that result in the temporary combination and dissolution of the seven elements, while one's true essence was immortal and beyond destruction. Venerable Sariputta and Moglana had belonged to the sect founded by Sanjaya Belathaputta. Sanjaya taught a doctrine of relativity. He believed that truth changed according to circumstances, time, and place. What was true for one situation might not be true for another. A person's awareness was the measuring rod of all things. Nigath Natiputta led a set of ascetics who practiced austerities. They did not wear clothes and they strictly observed the precept against killing other living beings. Nigatha taught a kind of dualistic fatalism. He believed that two forces, jiva and ajiva, or life and non-life, were the basis of the universe. His sect commanded great respect and influence in the society of the times. The bhikkhus frequently came into contact with Nataputta's ascetics. Both communities shared a common respect for life. But there were many differences between two communities, and some of the Nikanta's followers bitterly opposed the bhikkhus. Venerable Muglana found the views of the ascetics too extreme, and he did not hesitate to express his opinion. Because of that, many of the ascetics were particularly hostile to Venerable Muglana. The Buddha returned to Savatthi and stayed in Eastern Park. There were a constant stream of visitors. One morning, Lady Visakha came to see him. Her hair and clothes were drenched with rain. The Buddha asked her, Vishakha, where have you been? Where are your clothes and why are your clothes and hair so wet? Lady Vishakha wept, Lord, my grandson just died. I wanted to come to see you, but in my grief, I forgot to take my hat or parasol to protect me from rain. How old was your grandson, Visakha? How did he die? Lord, he was only 3 years old. He died of typhoid fever. The poor little one, Visakha. How many children and grandchildren do you have? Lord, I have 16 children. 9 are married and 8 are grandchildren. I had 8 grandchildren. Now there are only 7. Visakha, you like having a lot of grandchildren, don't you? Oh yes, Lord. The more the better. Nothing would make me happier than having as many children and grandchildren as there are people in Savatthi. Buddha said, Visakha, do you know how many people die each day in Savatthi? Visakha said, Lord, sometimes 9 or 10, but at least one person dies every day in Savatthi. There is no day without a death in Savatthi. Buddha said, Visakha, if your children and grandchildren were as numerous as the people of Savatthi, your hair and clothes would be as soaked as they are today every day. So deep, what Buddha said. Visakha joined her palms. I understand. I really don't want as many children and grandchildren as there are people in Savatthi. The more attachments one has, the more one suffers. You have often taught me this but I always seem to forget. Buddha smiled gently. Visakha said, Lord, you usually return from your travels only just before the rainy season begins. Your disciples miss you greatly the rest of the year. We come to monastery, but it seems empty without you. We walk around your hut a few times and then return home, not knowing what else to do. The Buddha said, Visakha, diligent practice of the teaching is more important than paying the visits. When you come to the monastery, you have a chance to listen to the other venerables teach the Dhamma. You can ask them questions to assist you in your practice. The teaching and the teacher are one. Please don't neglect your practice simply because I am not here. Venerable Ananda, who was standing nearby, proposed an idea. It would be nice to plant a Bodhi tree here at the monastery. That way, whenever disciples come to visit and you are gone, they could visit the Bodhi tree in your place. They could even bow to it as a thought of bowing to you. We could place a stone altar beneath the tree when disciples could offer flowers. They could walk slowly around the tree while practicing. So Bodhi was because like the kind of a representation of the Buddha. So when they worship the Bodhi tree, it is basically a reverence to the teacher and not like a worship to a god or something. They could walk slowly around the tree while practicing the contemplation of the Buddha. Lady Vishaka said, "That's a wonderful idea. But where will you find the Bodhi tree?" Second. Ananda answered, "I can ask for a seed from the Bodhi tree in Uruvela where the Buddha attained awakening. Don't worry, I will acquire the seed, sprout it, and tend the tree." Lady Visakha, so this a similar tree is also over there in Sarnath, in the near the Sarnath temple. When I went there, I saw that tree. It's the similarly they took a from sapling and then planted that tree. Lady Visakha felt lighter and comforted. She bowed to the Buddha and to the Venerable Ananda and then returned home. Okay, so Snehaji, welcome. I think you got late today. I just finished the book reading. No, no, that's okay. That's a perfectly fine. No, no, appreciate your commitment uh, to come. That's fine. If you have anything to share, we can like discuss. Yes, yes, absolutely. No problem. You can watch the recording. It will be available. So today also it was some good learnings that were there. And right. Sure, okay, no problem. Fine. So we'll close the session for today and we'll meet Monday, 7 p.m. IST.